The classroom was quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the kind filled with stress. The kind where shoulders slump, eyes stare at nothing, and coffee cups sit half empty beside notebooks covered in scribbles. Assignments were piling up. Everyone looked worn down. That morning, the teacher walked in carrying something unusual. No notes, no books, just a large empty glass jar. Without a word, it was placed on the desk at the front. Everyone watched. Then came a sack filled with large, smooth stones. One by one, they were placed into the jar. The heavy sound of each rock echoed in the silent room. When the jar looked full, the teacher paused. "Is the jar full?" The question floated into the air. Heads nodded slowly. A few students gave unsure smiles. Without responding, a second container appeared. This one held small pebbles. Carefully, they were poured into the jar. The pebbles slid between the spaces left by the larger rocks, filling the gaps neatly. Again, the question came. "Now, is it full?" More confident nods this time. Someone muttered, "Has to be." Next came a container of sand. It was poured in slowly, the grains falling into every tiny space the rocks and pebbles had left behind. When it reached the brim, the teacher waited again. "Is it full now?" The room was still. Some students laughed quietly, shaking their heads. Finally, 2 small coffee cups were brought out and poured into the jar. The coffee soaked into the sand, disappearing without spilling a drop. Then the teacher looked at the class. "This jar is your life. The big rocks represent the most important things: family, health, peace of mind, people who truly matter. If all else was lost, but you still had these, your life would still be full. The pebbles are the other things that matter: work, school, house, responsibilities. They take up space, but they are not your foundation. Sand is everything else. Background noise, social media, distractions, it's the things that often fill our time but leave us feeling emptier than before." The room was silent. If you pour in the sand first, there's no room for the rocks or the pebbles. If you spend your time chasing small things, the big things get pushed aside. Pause. But the teacher continued, lifting the empty coffee cups. "No matter how full your life seems, there's always space for a cup of coffee with someone who matters." A few chuckled. Others stared quietly at the jar, thinking. Then came the real question. What are your big rocks? What are the things you can't afford to neglect? Silence again. No one had an answer ready. Think about what brings you peace when nothing else makes sense. Think about what you miss when it's gone. That's how you'll know, someone from the back asked. "And what about the coffee?" There was a smile. Coffee reminds us to slow down, to connect. It's a laugh, to talk, to just be. Even in the busiest times, we can make space for a moment of real presence. The bell rang, but no one moved. Backpacks were lifted, chairs scraped the floor, but not a single person rushed out the door. The air had changed. It wasn't lighter, but it was clearer. Some left quietly. Some whispered to each other. A few stood near the desk, eyes fixed on the jar now full of stones, pebbles, sand, and coffee. A silent reminder. It stayed there, motionless, but it had spoken. Not in words, but in something deeper. A truth too often forgotten. And for everyone in that room, it was a lesson they would carry for the rest of their lives.